I am making candied walnuts. You can use this process to candy any sort of nut. The common ones you see is walnuts, pecans, and peanuts, like honey roasted peanuts. They're all done the same way. Today you're going to see me deep fry the walnuts. And the reason is if the nuts are raw, then you need to cook them. You can either do that by deep frying them in oil, which is very good when you have nooks and crannies and everything, walnuts that aren't going to get cooked, just sit in the pan. Or you can just do it by tossing them in a hot pan, which is good for things like almonds that are flat and easily make easy contact, and you can roast the entire thing. All right. Candied pecans are often just eaten and as a snack and given out as gifts. Here's some candied pecans. The candied peanuts are often eaten as like honey roasted peanuts, you're familiar. And the candied walnuts are most commonly seen in that honey walnut shrimp. But again, you can do it with anything. Let's go over a few different nuts and just show you. If they're already roasted, again, you don't have to do any of this. You can just toss them in the pan with the simple syrup solution and candy them. So pistachios come usually roasted. These are shelled ones, and it'll say right on it usually. And this one, roasted, all right? It won't always say it, though. Here's sunflower seeds, raw, hasn't been roasted. They're going to need to be toasted first. And the reason is that they just have a different toasted flavor. You can eat these raw on a salad or something, but for this candied one, you're going to want the seeds to be cooked. Let's take a look at peanuts. Peanuts will usually say roasted or raw, but not always. This one just says salted peanuts. And the giveaway, though, is when you look on the back side, if it has just peanuts, then they might be raw. But if it has oil, peanut oil or vegetable oil listed, that means they were deep fried and roasted. We see the same thing with almonds. Here we have, these are just blanched, which means they were put in either steam or water. All right, blanched almonds. These ones just say almonds, but they're clearly roasted. And again, the giveaway is when you look on the back, it says that they've been cooked with vegetable oil. All right, and that's what they look like when they've been roasted. You guys have seen and tasted probably the difference between a roasted almond and a raw almond. And again, lastly, walnuts. These are generally made raw. I've never seen that you can purchase them roasted already. The candy coating itself is super easy. We're just gonna turn on. I like to use a black iron pan so that I don't have any non-stick stuff under high heat coming up in, and I like to be able to scrape it around with a metal utensil. So just a wok, but anything will work. And I am today doing 2 cups of walnuts that I'm going to use for honey walnut shrimp, but you can use more or less of the candy coating. I happen to know that for 2 cups, having done this before, I need about 5 tablespoons of sugar and water. But as long as you use an equal amount. So here we go. Here's a 1/4 cup of sugar, 1/4 cup of water. I'll just add another, that's 4 tablespoons. I'll add another tablespoon of sugar, tablespoon of water, and that just gets me going. And all you're going to do is just melt that down a little bit. The reason you're starting off with a fairly runny simple syrup, 1-to-1 ratio of sugar and water, is because you want it to be able to get in all the nooks and crannies of the walnuts there. All right, oops, these aren't roasted yet. Let me get that out of there. And as it heats up and evaporates while you toss them, then it'll dry out and get the water will evaporate, and you'll get more and more to a hard candy shell. I'm going to turn that off until I'm done roasting the walnuts. But you'll see as I toss them, you can just use your nose for this. Everybody recognizes the smell of caramel versus there's almost no smell to this right now. And as I toss them and the water evaporates off and coats them, all of a sudden you'll start to get a little bit of a cooked sugar caramel. And you take it off at that point, maybe a little bit past that, but before you start getting the burnt sugar smell. And that way you can just use your nose instead of using a temperature gauge to decide when it's going to be a hard candy stage. Real simple. At this stage, when you're making your candy, you can do a couple things. Add in a little bit of salt which will make it part of the coating real nice. I like to use the salt I've already made and ground with coriander. Any kind of flavored salt you like. 1/4 teaspoon's enough. And that just gives a little bit more flavor to it. Okay, I'm going to fry them about 4 minutes. And they're ready when they reach that golden brown color. Okay, those are just about ready. And the temperature on this, that's reading 400. It's 7 degrees high, so that's 330. That's about right. Now I've tossed the toasted walnuts in, or the deep fried walnuts in with a simple syrup. That's 5 tablespoons water, 5 tablespoons sugar, pinch of salt, 1/4 teaspoon or so. And you know, if you want more candy on them, you know, just go 6 or 7 tablespoons of sugar and water. All right, and what we're doing is just tossing it, and it looks like it's getting absorbed, but what's really happening is the water is evaporating off and it's creating a candy, and you want it to all be onto the walnuts and basically look like it's absorbed. You don't want to burn it. I'm going to turn the heat down because the sugar will start burning. You don't want it to be runny. You want it to be able to make a hard shell. All right, so I'll let it go just a little bit longer. That looks almost about right for candied walnuts. As soon as you smell or see any sugar starting to burn, then enough water has been evaporated that it's going to make a hard candy. Turn off the heat and toss them out so you don't burn the sugar. All right, we put them on a baking tray. Now we're just going to spread them all out. And let them harden up, cool down, dry. That's going to be the garnish for walnut shrimp. Another way you can get used to how done it is this is hot, so you got to be careful, but you can take a little piece of this and pull it away and you'll see a little string form. I don't know if you're able to see that little string right there. And there it is. And that means it's reached the hard candy shell stage. There we go, pulling it. Okay, makes that little string. That means it's ready. Okay.